Folks, something I love to do, unfortunately, I don't have as much time as I used to, is talk to new investors who kind of follow one rental at a time. They're committed to doing the work and they're like, hey, I got a couple of questions. So today we are lucky enough to have Michelle, who is actually an investor in Fresno, California. So we look at the same dirt, if you will. And she's been gracious enough and brave enough to come on a Zoom call with somebody she doesn't know and say, hey, I got some questions, big guy. What's going on? So how you doing, Michelle?
I'm good.
I'm good.
How are you?
So tell the audience one rental at a time. Who is Michelle? What do you do? All of that good stuff. And then we'll dive into the questions.
Okay. So, well, my name is Michelle, and I'm born and raised in Fresno. We're in Clovis now, but same.
Same, same.
And and we kind of, I feel like we kind of fell into investing, but at the same time, my husband, he's the one that kind of started. He found your program 5, almost 6 years ago now, I think.
Wow.
I know time has flown by. And we've always done a lot of DIY work ourselves. Every house we bought, we did a lot of work too. So we basically like lived and flipped, I
Okay.
think is what it's called,
Yeah.
or slow flip. And we did most of the work ourselves. And we did that over 4 or 5 houses.
Okay.
And every time we made money, we, bought in a nicer area, bigger house, whatever, kind of moved up.
Sure.
And all the while he was kind of like, I want to get into investing and I want to start doing this. Like I would watch your channel with him and
Mm.
stuff. And we started, he did most of the research. I mean, we have 3 little kids, so I stayed home with them for a long time. And I started working from home as a personal trainer about a year ago. And it kind of just, I don't know. I mean, it was plan. I want to say we fell into it, but it was his plan the whole time
Oh,
to kind of get into this. And I like could never thank him enough for kind
that's
of
awesome.
introducing me to that, but also like it caught my interest too because I love real estate. Every house we've bought, even though we've worked with a
Good.
lender or I'm sorry, an agent, I have found or my husband has found, and we just really enjoy the whole
Yeah,
process.
the whole hunt, the process, the journey of it. That's
Yes,
wonderful.
yes, the whole journey of it, and it has been quite a journey. We had a family friend reach out that there was a vacation property up in Shaver that he was selling it cash. It was dilapidated, and we bought that, redid it for about 4 years from top to bottom. We redid that entire thing, and we sold that liability and 1031 into an asset. So
Nice.
that's what kind of really started it, was that purchase.
Huh?
So I say like we fell into it, but it was a very slow,
Right.
gradual, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
um,
I want to poke at that a little bit because I think you know there are so many opportunities for folks to get into investing, and a lot of it is do the hot thing, the Airbnb, the midterm, the
mhm, mhm,
nurses, whatever.
mhm.
The tax code encourages you, if you so desire, to do live in flips, right? You can
Yeah.
buy an owner occupant home with an FHA 3.5, conventional 5% down. You can do a 203k loan if you wanted. If you don't want to, you could do the remodel yourself. And then after a year or two, you
Mhm.
could sell that and you keep the profit tax free as long as it's less than 500 grand. And then you could just roll. You don't even have to roll it. You don't even have to do a 1031. But the tax code says you could take the profit as an owner occupant house tax free up to 500 grand married and 250k single. I don't know why more people don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was that was a interesting experience because we didn't live in the cabin. It was our, vacation house. So we had to 1031 that.
Sure. Yeah,
And
that's an investment. Yep.
yes, so it was a little stressful because if I remember right, it was 45 days to
45 days to identify, 6 months to complete. Yep. Something
yes.
like that.
Yes. So we were, you know, it was hard. It was hard to find something in that short amount of time.
Yeah.
We were also like we wanted to find something at what we weren't like just because we had to. We were very excited to put that
Mhm.
into our first actual rental. So we ended up buying one really close to our house that normally would not make sense to buy, but we had such a large down payment that it does cash flow. So that worked out. But in normal cases, it would not cash flow. It would
Yeah.
definitely be
An alligator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll get into that one next. I just want to go back to the journey, because it sounds like you actually bought several homes to live in, and each time you upgraded, sold, and moved into something nicer. This is pre-cabin, I think. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
So I just want to encourage people to at least think about that. You mentioned you have 3 kids? Did you have kids while you were doing the live-in flips, or was that kind of post? Okay, so talk about that, because a lot of people make excuses. I can't do it because I have kids.
Yeah, it was it's it's a blur, like
Yeah.
the whole, mom brain, it's a real thing. And adding that on top of it was pretty crazy. But the cabin rental was by far the hardest
Most
to live
severe,
through,
yeah. Okay, yeah.
because my husband was gone. Him and my father-in-law did most of the work. So it was pretty crazy. But during when we were living in those houses, the first one was actually in Sacramento.
Okay.
And then we just did minor stuff, painting, flooring, some landscaping. I think that was it.
Okay. Yeah.
And
I'd call that a lipstick.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was not a big
Easy.
deal.
Okay.
And we had one kid then, and he was a baby. So it was nothing.
You just put him in a crib, sit in the corner, be good. You're good. I got it.
Watch us paint.
Yeah. Watch us paint. All right. That's good.
So the second one was a bigger remodel, kitchen, laundry room, things like that. It was the third that we had property. So that was a whole nother beast. The property side of it, taking care of that, because it wasn't taken care of.
When you say property, you mean land?
Yeah, we had 2 acres.
Land. Oh,
yeah.
Gee.
In Clovis.
That's a different. Ooh, that's different. Okay.
Yeah, it was wonderful, but the previous owners just didn't take good care of it. So we had a lot of things to do, not fun things, a lot of fixing of things that weren't fun, like septic. And then we redid most of the house. We did a huge kitchen remodel. And let's see, our youngest was like 4 days old, and the septic gases started coming in the house.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah.
Michelle, that's not good.
No. So I was done. I'm like, we're done. Let's move. I don't care if it's the most basic, like no offense at all, but builder grade house. I don't care what it is. This was like a custom house that we had poured our life into. We wanted it to be our forever house. I just want something that's not broken and safe.
Yeah. I don't want to potentially injure my children. Yes.
Yeah. No.
That's a reasonable request, Michelle. I just want you to know that's reasonable.
Yeah. Not dramatic at all.
No, not dramatic.
So we moved from there, and if we would not have kickstarted our journey. We would have not bought the cabin.
Nice.
So as much as I miss that house, I'm so happy that we did sell it. Nice. Plus the house we moved into is in a better spot, and a lot less maintenance, less maintenance. So that was a big thing too. But it was hard. It was hard with kids for sure. But like I said, it's kind of a lot of it is a blur.
But it is possible. That's what I want.
Absolutely.
So a lot of people put barriers in front of themselves. It's like, I can't house hack. I can't remodel with kids. Well, you can. It's certainly hard, but choose your hard. I mean.
Exactly. True. Yeah. Exactly. I totally agree.
Yeah. So now let's talk about the cabin. Sorry. So you get a deal on a cabin. You probably go into it knowing it's a lot of work, right? Top to bottom. But sometimes you get into it, you're like, woo. We underestimated that a little bit.
Oh yeah. We definitely did. We look back at pictures sometimes, and it's like, why did we buy that? Why did we walk onto that property and think that's not a big deal?
Oh, we could do that.
I don't even know the right word to use for that, but we thought it was going to be nothing. And it took
4 years, did you say?
4 years of blood, sweat, and tears. And we also made a lot of good memories while we stayed there. Huge amount of memories that our kids still talk about. And we have plans on buying another one day. But yeah, it was a very interesting experience, all of it. It was all hard, but extremely doable.
Right.
Just have to plan it out a little bit better, I guess. I mean, everybody's situation is different,
Sure.
but I would say the cabin was the most rewarding.
Okay. So I just want to make sure I understand the cabin story correctly. So that wasn't your primary, that was an investment house or a second home or whatever you want to
Yes.
call that. So
Yes.
you had something else where you were raising the kids and he and your father-in-law were up there kind of working on it. You called it a liability, which for me means it wasn't rented. It
Correct.
was burning cash as you did the remodel.
Yep.
When you came into it, did you think it would be 4 years, or what was the gotcha that made it 4 years? That's a long time.
We thought it was going to be like a year. We
Okay.
thought we were going to get it done in about a year, but I had wanted to keep it. We wanted to keep it. And my husband's like, we might want to rent it out. We might want to sell it and put that money into
Somewhere else. Yeah.
somewhere else. And I was like, no, I didn't want to hear it, even though I knew
Yeah.
that. I grew up going to a cabin. So I was like, nope,
Right.
la, 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 I don't want to hear it.
Right.
But
Right. Right.
even though I knew
Okay.
deep down that might be the right option. And I
Okay.
think we just kind of took our time with it because we wanted, plus the market too. We
Sure.
sold it at a time when there was like two, maybe two at the most cabins under 1 million for sale
Hmm.
up there. So we had a ton of showings. We had,
What year did you sell it?
oh gosh, I think it was 2 years ago now.
So
If I remember right, I think it was
2021.
like May 2 years ago.
Okay. So pretty good time. I mean, rates were
Yeah.
still low, a lot of activity, I bet, probably
Yep.
over asking. It
Yep.
was a pretty good timing.
Yep. We could not have timed it better,
There you
which
go.
yes, thankful to my
Well,
husband.
well, there you are now. So basically by getting out of it, you're basically repositioning equity, right? You're taking like you called it a liability and you're now moving it into an asset. So you get it sold, you get it in escrow, you start looking around. Sounds like you found something in Clovis. I'm gonna guess a single family home, maybe a
Yep.
duplex. I don't know.
Yeah. Single family.
Okay. All right. New construction.
I
What'd you
think it was
find?
built in 2005, if
All
I
right.
remember
So
right.
relatively new.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then
Yeah.
you sell, you take all the equity, you roll it in, your debt to property values 50% or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And it cash flows simply because you have a lot of down. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Very, very cool. That's
Yep.
been fun to recap. So now I understand where you're at. Anything else I should know before we get into the questions?
I don't think so. Not off the
All
top
right.
of my head. Maybe if something comes up, I'll let you know. But
Okay. Cool.
I don't think so.
All right. Well, hit me. Hit me. Let's turn the script. You get to ask me questions now.
Okay. So one of the biggest questions we had, or especially me, because once we realized, my husband has a W-2 job and I have my personal training, but it's mornings, it's minimal. So if I'm going to dive into this, where do I start? Where the heck do I start? Now, I already knew a little bit from watching your channel over the years and picking up things that my husband has told me a million times, finally remembering them. Um, but it's overwhelming when you have not been in the business before. It's very overwhelming knowing where to start and having that fear the whole time of making the wrong choice because money's on the line.
Yeah. Well, I think the good news is I think there's really two things that I would recommend anyone doing, let alone a partnership with you and your husband, right? You're kind of picking this up. One is you guys got to get your buy box. I mean, that's pretty much the right answer for everyone, right? We're going to buy in Clovis. We're going to buy single family homes between here and here. We're going to buy in the tower. Whatever that is, you two have to come into an agreement. Then you have to find 20 or 30 minutes a day to look at it. You have to document what's changed. I would probably recommend like have a date night or a pizza party or whatever once a week to say this is what I
Mhm.
found, right? So you get that communication and
Yeah.
he's staying up. So that's get that rhythm going. And then the other thing I would do is network, right? Fresno has a great community led by Jason Pritchard. They just did a women's event with Aaron and some other folks.
Mhm.
The network with like-minded individuals.
Yeah.
Go to those events just to get around the energy, the vocabulary, so you can learn new things. um, but yeah, I mean, if I was in Fresno, Jason Pritchard would be high on my list of somebody to follow
Yep.
and try to get in his aura. But those are two things I would do as a stay-at-home mom: is get agreement on the buy box, do the work daily, share weekly, make it an event, make it a party, get the kids involved. And then second, network. I talk about all the time. I think it's on my 7 rules. Meet 2 new people a week.
Mm-hmm.
I would challenge you to meet 4 people a week. And the beauty about real estate is just ask for referrals,
Right.
right? And then, oh, by the way, everybody you meet, tell them your buy box. That's something people miss. You just, in this world where the affordable homes are hard to find, a lot of your deals will come off market or what's called pocket listings.
Yeah.
So it should be your email signature. It should always close with, hey, oh, by the way, we buy blah, 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 blah. You
Yeah.
just never know where you're going to get a phone call going, hey, Michelle, you said you want one of these. I just talked to an agent or a seller. I might be listing one. You get first look.
It's so true. And I think that was hard. Finding a buy box was fairly simple because we know the area really well. But networking, I mean, I've just started that, and that's been tough. I don't want to say, we're
It's
anti-social, but
easier.
it is easier to not. And I've noticed going to different events or meetups, it's insane how much I have learned from just an hour or 2 hours or 30 minutes. It blows my mind. And the way this community is, how helpful everybody is also very refreshing, because for so long, I feel like in many fields, if you ask for help or you have questions, people are like, no, figure it out yourself.
You're my competition. Why would I help you?
Yes, exactly. So to have multiple people to reach out to, and I only have just started, is amazing. It's amazing, and it's a lot less intimidating then.
Yeah. Again, I only know the Fresno market. I hope this is true in other areas. The real estate community in Fresno is very much open to helping new investors. We all started there. There are no dumb questions. Yeah. And again, I think getting in the aura of Jason Pritchard, if you haven't already, we can make those introductions, is very, very cool. And I know he has one of his main contacts. Actually, I would probably connect you with is Morgan. Morgan's been on my channel.
To her,
yeah, she's amazing. Morgan
she's
is awesome. So that's very, very, very cool.
Yeah. So one of my questions about the buy box is, what do you think about multiple buy boxes?
So in the beginning, you are not allowed to have one until you can articulate to me or your husband or anybody else what the average yield is in your buy box. You're not allowed to have 2.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you'll get confused, right?
Oh yeah.
In the Lowell district, you'll get one return. In Tower, you get another one. In Fig Garden, you'll get another one. In Clovis, you'll get another one. So do not confuse yourself until you are remarkably comfortable in your one buy box. Then you can do another one. I think too many people get multiple buy boxes in different cities, and that is bananas, right?
Yeah.
I got a Fresno buy box. I got a Vegas buy box. I got an Austin buy box. Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah, that sounds like a lot.
I mean, the taxes are different. That this is different. So I don't approve having multiple buy boxes until you can clearly articulate what an average deal is in your first one.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's very tempting when I'm on Redfin. That's what I mostly am on, is Redfin. Sure. And when I'm on there, it's like, I start to get confused between, even though it's like the neighborhoods are right. It's a lot.
Yeah. So the big challenge here is, like, you go on to let's say you're doing Zuber's plan, right? Got a buy box. You look at it every day. Nothing changed today. What is today? Wednesday? Nothing changed on March 8th. A lot of people will go, damn it, Michael told me to spend 20 minutes. I've only spent 2. I'm going to look at something else. No, Michael said, shut your computer down and go do something else.
Yeah.
When you're done, you're done.
Yeah.
Right. Don't confuse yourself, because you go backwards. And the more you look at other stuff, the negativity or the negative leverage builds, and you get farther away from your goal. So if on March 8th, this Wednesday, nothing changed in your buy box, note it, come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's what I recommend.
Okay. That makes sense. So another question I have is, now in the situation that we were in with the 1031, if you have to find something, if you're selling an asset, like when we go to sell the rental we have now,
Mhm.
hopefully it'll be paid off and we want to turn that into like a apartment complex or something.
Sure.
We're going to have 45 days to declare.
Mhm.
So what if we don't find something? That's what
Yeah.
we didn't
So
end up in that situation with the rental we got, thankfully, but then we might end up, putting ourselves in just an okay deal.
yeah.
So in that
So
situation, what do you think?
there's a couple of things. First and foremost, there's no rule that says you can't start looking before the clock starts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first rule is once you know you're going to do it, you can start poking around,
True. Yeah.
getting educated. But the point of this is I never let taxes force me to do an average or good deal. I only do great deals. I'm serious. And again, if I got to the end of the 45-day window and my 5 things that I identified all washed out because of inspections, I'd take the tax hit. There are worse things to do than take the tax hit. I won't do a bad deal.
Yeah.
I have seen people, like there in Fresno, he 1031 out of a fourplex into a 10-unit building, and it was sub quality, it was overpriced, and ended up losing the building. You can go broke doing bad deals. So if I got to the end of the 45 days and only thing was a bad deal, I would take the tax hit. Oh well, pay
Yeah.
taxes. There are worse things.
Yeah. That's a good point. It's hard not to feel that urgency.
No, the 45 days is there for a reason. You're supposed to feel urgent, but don't
Yeah.
don't. I mean, I've seen a lot of people go, "Well, I delayed taxes." Well, you're in a bad deal that now you have an alligator that's losing money. How does that feel?
Yeah. That's much worse. That's much
So,
worse.
I agree.
So what, I mean, okay, let me back up. What do you consider a great deal?
So in Fresno, California today, I wouldn't do a deal less than 8% cash on cash yield,
Okay.
what I call it. Right. 2 years ago, I was doing 6.5
Mm-hmm.
because the market was just different.
Yep.
2010, it was 15. So it changes all the time. Today, it's
Yes.
8.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think most of them that we find, there's some that are like at 10, 12, 8, but a lot of them are like sixes.
Yeah. So exactly my world today, 6.5, 7's average. I
Yeah.
don't, that's easy, Michelle. Anybody can find that stuff.
Mhm.
I want to be special. I want to be unique.
Yeah.
I only could do one deal a year. God darn it. So they're all going to be great. But it sounds like you're doing
Yeah.
the work. That's awesome. So yeah, I would tell you anything double digits, assuming it performs like that. In Fresno today, awesome.
Yeah. So another thing that has been a little bit difficult is figuring out based off pictures
Hmm.
what that rental cost is going to be
Yeah, that's
before
it.
you can throw. Yeah.
That takes experience, right? You got the lucky thing is you're investing in your backyard, so you can walk more and more projects.
Hmm.
You can talk to contractors. That's one of the things you'll network with, right? I have a guy at the hub who does many of my projects, Carlos. Again, if you network with him, I'm sure he would meet you at a project.
Okay.
And you can say, hey, just you can't really waste his time,
Yeah.
but you could say, hey, I looked at this, I think it's X, and he could go, oh, it's X squared, or you're close, or
Yeah.
the community is so good that way. You could also walk other projects, like Jason Pritchard does walkthrough videos of his stuff, and he
Hmm.
actually gives numbers right before and after. So I would, that is the thing that takes time, but you really do get better at it.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
did a
totally.
video with a general contractor named Maritza. You probably could search it on my channel. I think it's just Maritza, like 4 years ago,
Mm.
where she went top to bottom on Fresno costs. Like, what does it cost per square foot? Now, it's 4 years old, so I'm sure it's changed, but you could just write down the list of things like windows, $400 a window.
Yeah.
This, that. You can get better relatively quickly, but there'll always be surprises.
Totally. Yeah. We used to be able to, when we would, because we moved probably every 2 years for a while.
Yeah, sounds like.
Yeah. We finally stayed put, but we could go into a house and say, okay, crown molding is going to be this much, windows are going to be this
Exactly.
much, flooring is going to be this much. And
You'll
our
get back there.
realtor would be like, how do you do that? I don't know how you guys do that. And we loved it, but
Yeah.
we haven't really done that, and we've been in this house almost 6 years. So
Yeah.
those costs
It'll
have,
come back really quick.
yeah,
It's just,
I think so too.
it takes reps. You got to get some reps in. Well,
Yeah.
you should, how old are the kids today? How old are they?
They are 10, 8, and 6.
So they're all in school.
Yeah.
Like in school, not like homeschool.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can go see open houses. You can,
Yep.
yeah. So you have a little window of time. Cool.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
So
Thank you.
I would, like I challenged you earlier to meet 4 new people. You should probably walk 2 open houses a week. Just
Okay.
set goals like that. And then
Yeah.
again, have that, like you're going to meet for pizza, like have kids night with pizza and a movie. Look at the spreadsheet, the buy box with your husband, talk about the stuff you saw. And the reason I want to have that communication is you'd be shocked, Michelle, how much better you get sharing what you learned, right? Because I don't know about you. I learn a little bit by reading. I learn a little bit more by taking notes. I learn a ton by sharing.
Yes.
So that's what I'm trying to give you.
Yes. I've noticed that when I go to a meetup or a whatever it is, or if I was telling my husband yesterday, a couple of shorts I was watching of yours, that I was telling him what I learned, and I told him one, I'm like, I don't remember all of it. You need to promise me right now you're gonna go watch it, because I sent it to you. You got to watch it. And he's like, okay.
Okay. It's a short. I can watch it 1 minute, no problem.
Yeah. But when I'm telling him everything, it reiterates it to myself, because I learned much better by doing and writing and stuff, but not by hearing.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Olivia and I we've talked real estate. I mean, during our 15 years, I think every Friday we did a sushi night. That was our thing. So we would just talk about, because again, my job was to bust my ass to sell as much software during the day and find deals.
Yeah.
Her job was she busted her butt doing what she did. She was raising our daughter a lot by herself, and then running the day to day. So we didn't cross except for that Friday sushi.
Yep.
And it helped both of us a ton.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes perfect sense. Okay. So the next one, I feel like I kind of know the answer, but I feel like it's also very specific to the person and the deal. But
Okay.
which way is the best is it a hard money loan? Is it waiting and saving for 5 or 6 years so you have a lot of cash? Is it creative finance? Like traditional loan? What is the best way to get started for somebody they're doing the work, but they don't. I know you hear like money is easy to find, you have to find the deal, but it's not always easy to find for some people. So
Sure.
I think it's very specific to the person, but what is.
Well, I think there's a couple of things that are true, because I'll answer this question knowing there's hopefully thousands or tens of thousands of people that watch this. So I'll answer it that way, and then I'll also make sure I get your specific answer. So to me, the right answer is to realize that you can get into real estate for a lot less money than most people think.
Yes.
There are 0 down USDA programs. There are 3.5% FHA. There are 203K loans to incentivize fixing. So there are ways to get into properties for very little down if it's owner occupied. And I think there's going to be more, not less, first time home buyer programs coming forward. I tie that answer with my one regret in real estate, which I didn't house hack. One of the things I wish I did at 20 was house hack a fourplex in the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
My net worth would be double or triple what it is today if I house hacked at 20, 30 years ago. So if you take low down with house hacking, lower your monthly expenses, that produces a cash flow excess, right? Because again, for most people, your rent or mortgage is the biggest payment.
Mm-hmm.
One of my millionaire experts, his living costs are negative $2,400 a month. He's paid to live in his fourplex, $2,400 a month. That is mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
That is getting it done right, and that allows you to snowball income. You put $2,400 on the stack. You put in your normal rent payment on the stack. It just builds faster. So the first answer for most people, once you make the decision, is low down payment house hacking. First answer.
Okay.
Second answer is you have to realize, at least for us, because again, we only had 40 grand when we started this party. That's all we had. That was it. But something we did is we started lowering our expenses. We lived on 100%. Over the first 4 years, we got down to living on half. That wasn't
Right.
fun.
No.
It wasn't fun, but it allowed us to continue to grow and build. So we sacrificed. We sacrificed for 11 years before we started splurging. But that's just reality. Nobody wants to hear it, but it
I
is the truth.
know.
It is the truth. And then lastly, I think we are entering a very unique time. This hasn't happened since the early 80s. We are entering a time where creative financing really could be something I admittedly, again, the early 80s, I didn't buy until the late 90s. So it's something I have to learn, whether it's subject to or assumable loans or these other things. I think there's skills that even I have to learn because I know there are some 30-year fixed rate loans, sub 3, that I would love to have. Right, whether it's Pace Morby or sub 2 or assumption on some VA loans or whatever they are, I need to learn more. So
Yeah.
I think you also have to be open to, well, let's figure this creative financing thing out because I think there's some opportunity there. Again, I haven't done it. I'm learning as like I'm recommending you and others do. But there has to be a way for us to take advantage of some of that 30-year debt that's out there.
I agree. It's
So
confusing. Creative
yeah, it
finance
is.
is
I,
confusing.
yeah, it is. It is. And I know how to do seller financing. I know how to do seller seconds. I think there's an opportunity out there again. I'm talking with a guy on my channel every Friday, Ty, who's been doing this 30 years. He cut his teeth in the 80s. He's a coach. I think that's how he calls it for Pace Morby. So again, I'm investing time and energy to learn. But yeah, there's a lot of opportunity coming, I think.
I think so too. And I recently there was one day I think I reached out to 20 agents
Nice.
asking if their seller is willing to seller finance.
Perfect.
And everybody said no. And one realtor was like, people don't do that. Why are you, I guess kudos for being creative, but why are you doing that? Like nobody does that.
Yeah. So again,
So, yes, I
one
do.
thing that one thing I would recommend everybody to do is realize that agents, 98% of agents, 97, something like that, they're cookie cutter, fill out a form, move on.
Mhm.
I've done seller financing deals. Let me think about this. Of all the seller financing deals I've done, though, none of them were brought by agents. Think about that. They were all, now we may have used an agent, but none were brought by
Sure.
agents. So just realize that sometimes you have to sell agents. So one of the things that I would be doing networking, in fact, you reached out to 20. Most people reach out to 2.
Yeah.
But realize you may have to reach out to 200,
Yes.
right? There are agents like Morgan, for example, on Jason's team, probably very familiar with seller financing and open
Yep.
to that. Oh, by the way, you can actually do searches on a keyword called seller financing. I'm seeing that more and more in Fresno. Now, I
Really?
don't think the deals make sense yet,
Yeah.
but I have seen a couple in the last
Okay.
couple of weeks. So
Interesting.
when the market slows down, and again, Fresno is slowing down, the country's gone from 6.5 to 4 million transactions. Agents are going to start to starve. Suddenly they'll be a little bit more creative. So sometimes you have to educate them. So
Yeah.
for you going through agents, realize you may have to educate them. Like, why would sellers do that? Well, did you know I could pay a bigger price? Do you know that agents or a seller, if they take cash, will have a huge tax payment potentially? Right? There are great benefits to
Yeah.
seller financing. Most agents don't know. So just practice your pitch with some of the agents, the ones that are open to it. Some agents you just hang up on and move on to the next.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had some interesting encounters, and one told me yesterday, like, don't try and pull any tricks on him. He's an investor himself. He knows them all. And I'm like, okay.
Okay, great. Click.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah. I'm noticing that little, not all of them,
No, no, of
but
course not.
just a
There are
handful.
some amazing
Yeah.
agents in Fresno. You just have to find them.
Yeah. I totally agree. Okay. Well, I think that was most of our, not hangups, but like
Sure.
biggest
Okay.
questions as we were going through. Um, off the top of my head, anyway, I think
Mhm.
that was pretty
Cool.
much it for the questions.
Well, I had a lot of fun. What would you recommend? Somebody watched this, got to the end of the video. Would you recommend them following one rental at a time, maybe getting the book? What
Absolutely.
would you recommend?
Honestly, I know I said it already, and you probably hear it all the time, but your program changed our life.
Wow.
You know, my husband was already looking into this stuff. I probably 8 years ago, he was already researching it. I had no idea, and it was he probably told me about it and everything, but it wasn't until we bought the program and saw the spreadsheet, and I could see it all in front of me. It made so much more sense than him
Awesome.
just telling me, you know, the whole formula. And I'm like, what? Trying to,
Ah,
yeah,
ah.
exactly. Just want to cover my face.
Yeah.
So it's been life changing,
Very
and
cool. That's nice
we're,
to hear.
you know, just getting started. So I can't wait to see what we buy next. We're looking right now. We're getting ready to buy our next
Awesome.
property. So I am elated. I am so excited.
Very, very cool. Well, Michelle, thank you for reaching out. Thank you for being willing to do this. Lots of people are going to see this, maybe come back and see what they have to say. I think I'm going to publish this today at 6 o'clock. You know what?
Okay.
I will publish this today at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
So if your husband wants to watch it. Michelle, thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too.
All right.